Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Esau, and specifically the topic is don't sacrifice your future because of your present, or because of the present feeling or your present desires. And specifically, I want you to take a look at the book of Genesis chapter 25, verse 29. The Bible says, "One day when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob," verse 30, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." This is how Esau got his name Edom, which means red. Verse 31, "All right," Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." "Look, I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright to me now?" But Jacob said, "First you must swear that your birthright is mine." So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate the meal, then got up and left. He showed contempt for his right as the firstborn. What's fascinating to me is that he trades something that was so valuable in the future for something that he felt in the moment. Now, the birthright may not seem like a big deal for us today, but back then, Esau would have gotten a lot of the inheritance, most of the inheritance that his father Isaac was going to give his sons would have gone to Esau. And not just that, but also power over the family. He would have been the patriarch moving forward. It would have been known in the Bible not as the God of Jacob, he would have been known as the God of Esau. And all of this changed because of a moment of hunger. Because for that moment, in that instant, he was so hungry, he was willing to trade anything for what he felt at that moment. And it's interesting because, the Bible doesn't tell us too much about Esau. It tells us that he was a hunter. It tells us that he was out in the wilderness this day and that he was doing what he had to do. And I imagine that he must have been hungry. I mean, he spent the day or maybe longer than that. Maybe it was a few days looking for what he had to hunt and then stalking it and then catching it and doing everything that he had to do and probably even dragging it. I'm sure that he was hungry. And I've been hungry before. I mean, who hasn't felt those pangs of hunger? I remember being back in college and sometimes going days without eating. That was difficult. It was very hard to do. You feel the pain and it hurts and it presses on you. But does that mean that you should sacrifice something as important as your birthright? Well, Esau felt that that was the case. But before we judge him too harshly, we need to take a look at our own lives. Maybe there are things in our lives that we are willing to sacrifice the present for, or rather the future for, because of something that we feel in the present. Maybe there are desires that we have that are taking over us when we should be putting them to the side for the sake of what lays ahead, but we take on them now. I mean, I can think of a very practical example. If you have a budget at home, and you know that you're supposed to be staying to your budget because you have bills to pay and you have things that you need to take care of, but you're hungry right now, just to keep with the same line of thinking with Esau. So you go and you take out your family to a restaurant and you spend $50 at that restaurant. Now you've just sacrificed your meal, your budget for that month because of something that you felt at the moment, when it could be easier, or maybe not even easier, but maybe it could be more convenient and better for you in the future to go home and to make a meal and to cook something and enjoy something with your family that you've made without sacrificing the future. But it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than just maybe your budget. It goes deeper into things like our desires, the things that we want in this world that are not good for us, that are not good for our families. I can think of so many couples that I've counseled that are facing divorce because of infidelity. Infidelity that could have been prevented. Infidelity that happened because at the moment I feel this sort of way for a person, or I feel this sort of way towards my wife. I'm angry, or we're fighting and things are not good at home, and that dissatisfaction causes me to want something. It produces that desire. And the desire itself to want to be in a relationship with somebody, the desire to want connection isn't the bad thing. The bad thing is what you are sacrificing. So when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And in this case, you could be sacrificing your family, your children, and your legacy because of something that you feel in the moment. So we need to check ourselves, like Esau should have done. He should have checked himself. He should have taken consideration of the future that he would have, his legacy. So this is important because not just are we sacrificing ourselves, we're sacrificing those who follow us. We're sacrificing our children. Now, we should sacrifice, but not this way, but the other way around. Jesus sacrificed for us. He didn't consider the cross too much of a burden in order for us to have a life. He didn't consider his own life too much of a burden in order for us to have a life. He suffered through death. He suffered through a lot of pain because he was beaten, he was mistreated, he was spit on, he was ridiculed, and all of those things so that you and I could have a future. And that's the model for us to follow. That is our example. We are to be people, we are to be men who are willing to give and sacrifice for our family so that they can have a future, so that they can be blessed. Now that may take work sometimes, and it may be hard, but it's worth it because they're worth it. And men who produce a legacy are men who are willing to do the hard work. So my prayer for you today is for you to be a person that is willing to sacrifice, but not sacrifice the future in the altar of the present, but rather make the sacrifice so that your family can have a future and a hope. May God bless you. Have a great day.